Hey YouTubers, good evening, lovers of vintage old tube amps. I'm back with my little project, with my single-ended 5-watt tube amplifier, guitar high gain tube amplifier with the tubes from the 1930s, the AL4 and the 3 times AF7 pentodes. So what I did compared to the last video, first of all, I changed now the output transformer. In the last video, we made a little comparison between the smaller original one and now this one is out of a Russian radio, radiola radio, and I think it's got much better frequency response, a little bit more bottom end. So from the test yesterday, it sounded better. It doesn't saturate so quickly the magnetic field, and from that it's just a little bit bigger and should have more bottom end. What I also did is I put these buttons there and aligned the lengths of the potentiometer of the, I would say potentiometer variable resistor of the rod, so that they're all in line now. Made this label here and also connected standby. So this one is now, you hear the click sound. Once you start turning it, it will give the plate voltage of 200 volt towards the tubes. What else is new? Oh yeah, this indicator tube, and in a minute when I start the amp, you will see how it's nicely glowing and green. Remember, I had to connect the separated transformer here. So this transformer was necessary because of the 12 volt filament heating. So this one is now inside of the chassis, properly mounted and rock solid. So that's okay. And also to boost the brightness of this, I have a little cascade inside consisting of hard to show this because it's underneath, consisting of 2 capacitors, 2 diodes. This is a pretty easy thing you can find on the internet. I will probably also publish it. It's connected directly to the primary output of the mains transformer, which delivers something like 220 volt. So it will lift it up to something like 300 volts with this cascade, and I connect this to the plate here, and this will easily make this thing glow much brighter. Anyway, I wouldn't mind if this thing blows up. I mean, it's old and I have still some more in my supply. So let's fire it up. Probably I will not give any sound samples today because I was working on mainly on beautifying the thing and not so much on, I did a couple of mechanical work, but not so much on the sound. Or actually I worked on the sound, but I was not successful. So you see, this thing is glowing nicely as some sort of indicator, and this, you have this 90-degree angle here. To control this angle, there is a wire connected to one of the grids. This wire has to be driven with between -8 and 0 volts. So what I just did, I connected this wire through a 100 nanofarad capacitor directly to the speaker output, assuming that the speaker output will be something like 5 volt roughly, maybe a bit more. And since it's a balanced one, it should drive this one. I didn't try it out, it's just a quick and dirty wiring. Yeah, and I also was working on the sound control here, because the original setting in the last video, or in one of the last videos, I showed that this was not very responsive. So I changed a bit the values. Actually, I didn't change the potentiometers, the variable resistors, but I just changed the capacitors in between. And now, actually, because the actual values I had, I tried it with my bass guitar, and I found out that, for instance, the bass is working much better on a bass guitar, but not on a regular electric guitar. So that's why I had to change a bit the response frequencies. And now I think it's better. Still, these the dials, they influence each other, so they are not completely separate because they don't have separate amplifiers behind them. So that's pretty usual for this passive tone control, that they influence it. If you ever try a Mesa Boogie or a Marshall or whatever, you will find out that once you dial in more height, you will also have an impact on the middle, and if you dial the bass, then this mid will also changing in its response. I will just try to demonstrate quickly the effect of the sound. This amplifier is now connected to a 4x12 Marshall cabinet. So the bass itself should be quite nice. And if you plug the whole thing in here, so now check. This should be the standby switch. Oops. By the way, if I turn down the gain of the first tube and raise the master volume, there's not much static, so the amp is quite silent. Of course, if I raise the gain here, you see it would even start to feedback a bit, because I have no negative feedback loop inside so far. So let's plug this in and give some little riffs. Or basically, I will not riff too much today. I'll just show you the frequency control here. So oh yeah, one more thing. Since this potentiometer should be logarithmic, or but it's linear, or it's logarithmic but the other way around, I just connected it the other way on the back side. So basically the maximum bass is currently here. I have to either change this pot against something else, or I have to change it. So means here we have the maximum bass for the middle and treble and gain. It's of course all the way to the right hand side, the maximum. So this is quite a nice effect now. You really hear here it's pretty hollow sound. And when I turn this button, you hear how the bass kicks in. For the middle, this is more like a resonance sound. It's not really plain middle. I have to still probably think a bit about the values here. So let me see if I can show you anything here. It's a bit hollow, and it's opening the sound a bit more. Oh yeah, and treble. The amp is not too trebly at the moment. I probably have to still work a bit on this. But some effect is there. And finally, I also connected this gain button on the front. Remember, this was initially put on the back side because it was very near to this tube, and I wanted to avoid long wires between this button and the tube. But finally, I just wired it, and yeah. And let's give a little try on the gain sound. I'm not sure if this will now sound very well, because I was really working more on the mechanical part and a bit on this tone stack, which when I was working on this tone stack, I just connected my signal generator or my guitar directly to the input of the tone stack, and at the output I used my oscilloscope to check the output. So the overall sound I didn't touch for the last 2 days. Let's see how it still sounds. Yeah, this is not yet what I want. Yeah. I changed some values here in this, around this gain pot, and this is now still, the amp is still choking, and that is then something I will work out in the next days. Because finally we should not only have a nice looking amplifier, but of course also a good sounding amplifier, a good sounding high gain amplifier, and that will be my task then for the next days. Okay, so with this lamp here glowing, and probably just switch off the light. Ah, beautiful. Yeah. Alright, YouTubers, thanks for watching. Stay tuned. See you soon. Bye.